Hello, Mitch. I don't know if you can hear me. Testing one, two, three. Okay, my mic seems to be working. Let me change mics to this. And this should be the better mic. Check my sound. But maybe Mitch is just sort of listening in. But this week I started writing a few notes. I've been putting down thoughts of different things I sort of want to bring up. Usually, like these would naturally flow. And I was worried, I was like, oh, if I start building up a note, it's going to get filled up. And usually what happens, the things on the bottom are my most current thoughts and the most. I think I'm back now. Let me quickly check. I've been syncing like 10 terabytes worth of photos. I've been syncing to Google Drive. And as a result, I let it sync from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. And I think maybe just stop syncing and the internet intermittently cuts in and out when it's sort of like putting all its energy into uploading that footage. So let me make sure the syncing is off if I start going on my rambles and tangents. Okay, that stopped. Perfect. I think we're good to go. Um, yeah, I don't know if I recorded the other part, but when I start building up this list of thoughts and topics that I want to talk about, all the latest ones become the most relevant, and the ones I put initially become not relevant anymore, and a lot can build up throughout the week. And I realized that, like, man, like maybe I need to do these twice a week. Maybe once a week isn't enough of an outlet for me. But yeah, I'm really grateful for this idea that Ed gave me, where I just jump on these, and if whoever's free, they can jump on as well. And I'll sort of be low-key rambling. Something I have been wondering is like, what's the best format? Like if I do have friends or people they do join on, like what's the best format? Because usually I do want to ask them how's their day, what they've been up to, hear what they've been dealing with, but that already happens during the day. Like when I see them in person, that's sort of what happens in person. I guess for people that I haven't met in a long time, and that this is a good outlet to spend catching up with them. But usually it's sort of got to be people that I already know, people I'm already communicating with. So when they join, um, like I want to like I don't like I already hear the small talk. I already hear what's going on in their life and what they're dealing with. And I want to selfishly use as an outlet for me to talk and me to ramble on about random different ideas. So I think I'm gonna probably have to think of it. Like one idea I had is maybe like a timer. Like if I had like 3 or 4 people on this thing, maybe we set up a format where we start by spending maybe 2 minutes each updating each other on what we've been up to within the last week, last 24 hours, last 48 hours. And off that, people intimately taking turns, just spending 2 minutes, and we do these like power tangents. Like, for example, you can see I'm going on this long tangent on this one topic at the moment, but maybe we restrict it with like a time or something. I'll figure it out. Right now, it seems to be, I don't know, I think a lot of the sessions, it might just be me showing up on my own and me talking. Either way, it's gonna work out. So I'm not gonna fret too much. I'll play it by ear. That's another thing I've been learning to do. Playing things by ear, not fretting things too much. So like for example, last yesterday was just a very long day. Like I was like by the end of it, like my soul was like empty. Like I was so dead and I was mindlessly scrolling through social media. And that was just making me feel worse. And man, I just felt so like down and empty and just exhausted. And then I went to sleep late, got like maybe a bit under 7 hours of sleep. Usually I try to get 8, but I had got a solid amount of sleep. And today I feel fine. I feel normal. I feel pretty good. I don't know how long I'm going to be good for, but I realized that a lot of sort of mental feelings, whether it's feelings of like depression, loneliness, anxiety, a lot of the time sleep cures it. A lot of the time you can have an early night and all of a sudden like you're going to be back to normal the next day. So I then realized that a lot of my my thoughts or my fretting goes to naught. It's like I was just stressing and I was like stressing for no reason. I was stressing about the fact I have anxiety and I feel this weight on my shoulders. But the anxiety and weight on my shoulders, those feelings disappeared right now. They're like sort of, I feel pretty healthy. I feel pretty optimistic. Then I then thought about, okay, does that mean usually when I feel that much weight, I start sending voice messages, talk to friends, send people messages of what I'm dealing with, and try to share the burden. In Vietnamese, there's this word called chia buồn, which means share the sadness. So when someone, if you have a friend where their parents pass away, you want to give them a call to share the sadness, share the burden. So that's sort of what I've been naturally instinctively doing, so it doesn't like crush me, the pressure. Um, so I was thinking, like, does that all go to naught? Like, if I didn't do that and I went to sleep, would all that burden also go away? I think gut feeling is probably the answer is no. Um, because I think me letting it all out, me talking to my different friends, me sort of telling different people, that does empty the valve so that when I do sleep and I wake up, the valve is pretty empty and I spend the night just resting and recovering. So I think, yes, sleep recovers a lot of mental sort of problems, but you still need to sort of tell people and share. That's why therapists are so important. Luckily for me, I do have a very nice support system where I combine a bunch of friends and they become like a therapist for me, where like I have different friends for different things I sort of ask and talk about and update. And all my friends combined, it creates sort of this therapist for myself, basically. So that's been pretty cool. Another thing I've been realizing is that the more broad you get, the more worldly, the more things you pick up, the more diverse you get. For example, like me, I like to do like say everything from windsurfing to art to music to business to marketing to video editing, cinematography, watching movies. So all these different things. And the more things I add onto my plate, the harder it is for someone to fill all those little bubbles. Like I'm forced, and I have been Frankensteining counterparts for all those different things, where all the different things I like is spread between 10 different people. Um, and the closest person I have, my closest friend, who I spend the most time with and chat with the most, he probably is able to maybe fill 15 to 30% of everything I do. So it's a very, and then I started realizing this is sort of like a metaphor for finding a partner. Like I'm either gonna continue having faith and believe that, hey, like if I keep pushing, I'm gonna eventually find a partner that can like rarely has like the same, can do the 100% of the things that I'm into, or I'm gonna have to Frankenstein it together and have multiple partners. Now, I haven't really thought about it. Like, it's something that people have been, Andrew Tate has really made popular. Um, I don't, I don't really, like, I don't want that. Like, I ideally just want one person to just really fill my cup and fill my frame, just as I do theirs. But yeah, I guess I got to just stay also optimistic and believe that that's out there. Like I can find that because I've like meeting people that maybe can like fill 10% of my cup, that is already surprising. Like I feel like the average person feels like 1% of my frame. And I'll be able to within half an hour fill 100% of the frame, understand where they're at, what they're going through, what they do, understand their whole life story. Um, so yeah. I guess this tangents to another topic I wrote down, curiosity. Um, like is curiosity, like I thought it was something that you're born with, but then I also think it's an acquired trait. Like I think the trait is the very attractive trait is being able to be really curious and fascinated with other people despite not understanding what they do. It's like if I broke down it, it'll be like, hey, like what do you do? Oh, that's so cool. Can you tell me what do you mean by that? Oh, so like what's your day to day like? Oh, so like what do you, for example, like what did you do in the last 24 hours? Like that level, you're trying to understand it. It requires a lot of curiosity, fascination, care, and then you really try to dig into that person, and eventually you'll understand. And on the other hand, it's very satisfying for that person to, chat about themselves. So I do think that's something that you have to learn. Now, how do I learn this? Well, I guess one is there's like a bit of first principle thinking in that, where like I'm really trying to get and really understand things. Like if someone says, "Hey, I'm a data analysis," I'd want to understand like what type of data analysis, like what are you analyzing day to day? Like what did you do last week? What's the current project you're working on? Now, obviously, I think another topic is when I do that, it does drain my cup. If the person is really interesting, so it will drain slower. Um, but that does drain my cup. But back on the topic, it's like, yeah, how do I learn it? Like, first principle thinking. Two, I read a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. That helped a lot. Three, I think naturally as a people pleaser, I saw how people light up as they talked about themselves. So that's what catalyzed me to continue doing that. Yeah. So I do think it's a learned trait. I guess like if someone like I cared about wanted to and I wanted them to get that skill, I'd maybe just buy them how to win friends and influence people. Um, and be like, hey, this is not because you're not likable, this is not because you don't have friends, but this is something that really helped me and played a big impact on who I am as a person. I'd love for you to read it. So maybe that's what I should start doing. Once I like people I get really close to, get them to read the book. Yeah. One thing I've also been doing a lot more is like listening to my gut. I'm just like writing down notes of topics I would talk about. It's funny. As a people pleaser, like I try to give customers and viewers and people the best experience possible. So I do find myself really talking really fast, jumping from one topic to the next topic, because I want to be respectful of people's time. Like if they're listening to this, I want like a high. Like I don't want to like waste people's time with silences, with me drinking my water. Right now, it doesn't make sense for me to put in and hire an editor for this sort of new series. I'm just going to upload it raw. Um, that's another thing I want to write down. Like, for example, even this mini silence of me writing down a note. I'm like, ah, damn, like, let me quickly write it as quick as possible so I can get back to talking. But I do think this is actually moving me away from my natural flow. So I'm gonna slow it down and realize that, hey, like I'm like lessons, this sort of weekly call, it's not for others, it's for me, selfishly. Obviously, as I'm saying, I'm like, okay, that sounds a bit selfish. But yeah, like this is an outlet for me. This is something like this is a club I want to build. This is a community I want to sort of nourish. So like I should be like this is my outlet. So I should be going at my pace and not worrying about what other people think, not worrying about making it really ROI positive and impactful for others. And then we focus on making this fun for me, making it not feel like a rush for me, not worrying if people in, like right now, I think I have a friend listening and I have no idea if he can hear me this whole last 17 minutes. And at the same time, since I cut in, cut out, I'm worried if the recording is going to save or not, or if this is all going to go to waste. Um, but it's okay. Like if this does go to waste and this does disappear and we lost episode 2, that's okay. And understanding that, well, something I'm trying to implement in my life is that everything happens for a reason. Like it might not make sense why Zoom's stuffed up and episode 2 is missing, but maybe like it led because now I'm gonna have to redo episode 2, or I skip episode 2 and then it's episode 1 and episode 3, whatever's the case. Maybe it leads episode 99 to then be actually episode 100 or episode 101 to be 100. And it creates like a unique episode 100 that would have been 99 or 101. So you never know. So I've been really trying to accept when things aren't working out. Got a blocked nose. Let me blow my nose. Actually, like think like this sort of like dynamic of like me being normal, being human might be the best setting. I don't know how crazy to do it. Like right now, I want to do some push-ups, but like I usually try to do like 30 push-ups, and that like takes maybe like 2 minutes. And like you kind of like it's just this awkward. You know what? I'm gonna do 30 push-ups. Let me do some 30. I like to start the day with doing push-ups. I haven't done it yet because I had to jump straight onto this. I might move these to a later time, but let me quickly do the push-ups and then I'll start chatting after. Let's see, can you guys see me? Yeah, I'll bring you guys in. Ah, so that's 34 push-ups. I try to do around like 100 a day. I haven't been really hitting that 100. Some days I do, some days I don't. But I do this thing where I can only put down the standing table if I do some push-ups. And throughout the day, I really bring up the standing table. But then when you're standing for a certain amount of time, your legs get sore, and that's usually the trigger. It's like, hey, if I want to relax and sit down, got to pump out some push-ups. So that's sort of what I've been doing. Um, I see. The thing that joins Mitch's autopilot. Oh, that's interesting. So I think autopilot's one of these like AIs that like listen to things and converts it to like an update on what happened. So that's pretty cool. So I think I am talking on my own right now, which is fine. Yeah, I like this more chill format. I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to really slow this down. And yeah, my hair's a bit messy because I just woke up and I like quickly changed, went toilet. I'll go around 7:30 and this is around 8 a.m. I don't know if I should push these forward because it's quite an early start for a Sunday. But at the same time, I do like this Sunday early start. But then another problem is I also, after these sessions, like I sort of do feel like, what now? Like it's a bit hard for me to go into the difficult day ahead. Today's going to be a fun day because I'm also catching up with a friend from UK. I haven't talked to him in a while, Nick, who I used to do these weekly Zoom chats with. And then I have a nice dinner with family. But in between, from 9 till 4:45, I'm gonna be doing work. Yeah, like it's weird. Like when I said that, I was like, oh, felt like I felt a bit like a down, a bit sad. Um, which is funny. Hmm. Because I do enjoy my work. I know I enjoy it more than working corporate or working 9 to 5 job. But I guess it's hard. And I'm also thinking, is it because I try to work 7 days a week? Like it's currently Easter long weekend, so everyone's taking this long weekend off, and I'm here working. Like I think the feelings of like it's like as I'm listening to my feelings, it's saying like, yeah, like this is hard, but if you keep pushing through, you'll get to a point where you've built something that literally is a cash cow printing machine. You can sort of have the freedom to travel and truly take time off and have this business just continue churning. Yeah, I'm feeling the sort of my emotions and energy sort of like leveling out now. I started this episode really high energy, talking a ton, and now I'm really setting into my my norm. I was like keen to catch up with some friends today. There's a friend, a close friend that was going to join in. That was going to be fun, but I think everyone has their own lives. That's something I'm also having to realize. Everyone has their own lives. Everyone has things going on. Um, and I think that yearn I had to sort of to build community. I think that will happen. But it's just going to take a lot of time. And I think this is a good first step. Like I like the fact that I can put all these things in a calendar, put everyone's email on there, and whoever's free can just tap in and I can move it as be each week. But then I guess in my mind, like, I don't know if this is like enough value and if it's worth their time. But I think this is the perfect filter for those who want to listen in to just me ramble and talk. And this is how I am going to build that tribe that I'm looking for, because it will naturally filter for people that are interested in me. Ramble. It's interesting. Like my mum, like a friend of a friend, or like a friend I heard from like my mum through a friend, where my friend was like, "Hey, Andy's really shy." And I was like quite taken back. I was like, what does that mean? Like, I feel like I'm the opposite of shy because I like going up and talking to strangers. I like when I go to a party, I try to say hi to everyone, even though if I don't know everyone, I try to say hi to everyone. Like, what do they mean by shy? Like, I feel like I'm the opposite of that. Um, but what I'm realizing is the people who come off as not shy, I guess the word confident, are these people who are putting on this sort of facade where they're extroverted, they talk to everyone, they're trying to, be the life of the party. And it's very facade like where you're cool, you're sort of, I don't know, you are talking to everyone. That's definitely something I don't look up to. Like that's definitely something I'm like, I don't want that. Like I am very happy with how like I remember I was walking by my local park and there were these homeless people just sleeping in the park by the toilets, and everyone, like no one would say hi to them. Everyone treats them as if they're invisible. But I went up and said hi, and I wanted to hear their story. Like I guess like I love having meaningful like meaningful talks. Like if it's just small talk, like I'm out of there. I guess that can come off as shy because meaningful talks are more less loud, more one-on-one, more fine line. Like it feels like a feather. Like this type of talking feels like a feather floating through the air. Whereas like the life of the party person feels like they're this giant fire hose just pumping out water. And I think the in between is sort of like waves. So like I think most communications feel like waves. I like this sort of feathery like conversation. Another thing I've been trying to practice is like not force things. Like I feel like the more you force things to happen, the less it does happen. The more things I force my business to try to be profitable, the less or the harder it will take to get there. The more I try to force the next topic, the next idea to come to mind, the harder it is for that next idea to come to mind. So that's another thing, not trying to force things, especially force conversation. I think this is going to be a really good practice for that. Like, I'm 30 minutes in, I talked about a ton of topics, like a ton, so many different topics. Um, like it feels like the tank is about to empty. I'm like, but like I don't want this to stop. I want to keep going. But I think the more I focus on that, the less chance of me being able to keep going happens. So I'm just going with the flow, and maybe I should come into these and be like, hey, if it was a 20-minute chat, it's a 20-minute chat. If it only lasted 30 minutes, it only lasted 30 minutes. No pressure for me to get to that 60-minute mark. Yeah. Another thought I had this morning, like it only made sense for me to upload this raw with no editing, with no editors, not put in some manpower into this until it shows like signs of anything. Um, yeah, I think I'm starting to understand like that you shouldn't put a fire starter and put in fuel to every single fire you build. Some fires like this won't benefit much from a fire starter. And it's actually there's an advantage. There is a sort of benefit to starting slow, doing these raw, no editors, no resources going into this series, and that this organicness plays into building the community, building this series, building this sort of idea that I have bubbling. And if I went with a fire starter, have it edited, have music, have subtitles, create like an interesting hook. So all these things I do for my podcast, it might have steered this in a different direction that I didn't want. So I think I'm pretty glad with my decision of doing this specifically raw with no resources, like basically bootstrapping lessons. But then I do believe stuff like the podcast, even though it's made no money, that has made sense for me to put a fire starter on it. Like I've been constantly putting more fire starters on the podcast for the last 3 years, trying to just like keep it alive. But it makes sense. Like you're bringing on guests, you need nice thumbnails, you need a bit of consistency, you need to be respectful of people who've listening at time, you need clips, you need to be able to distribute those clips. So all those things are definitely required. And I think the flip side podcast is one of those things that require a lot of upfront time, resources, and energy. That there's a reason why a lot, but there's so many podcasts that don't make it past episode 100. But those who do are highly rewarded on the other end. I think it's something about having someone listen to you for a long, like I think the lessons has a ton of potential. Like I think if I have like 20 people listen to each of these weekly episodes, even if I just plateau at 20, I'd be very, very satisfied because it's just me talking. Whereas a podcast, it's the 20 people, I don't know if they're coming for me or if they're coming for the guests. There's so many variables, but for lessons, you're showing up to just listen to me. Now I do need to think about like the whole eventually like I have like communities, people would listen in. So maybe we'll do like a sort of a mini, like I'll sort of do like a Gary Vee style thing where I just start by just chatting, sharing what I've been going on, and that sets the tone for the conversation. And I don't know, but I'd feel rude if I had if I told friends to type in questions into the chat that they wanted to ask me or give me their 2 cents through chat. But then if I finish talking, I'm like, okay, anyone have any thoughts? What if 3 people start speaking? So maybe chat's the best way. And now I'm going back to my self-mind's like, hey, like I'm looking to build a tribe. I'm not looking to Frankenstein a group project where there's 10 independent people. And within a tribe, like the tribe members sort of, they put in notes, their thoughts, they put in a box, and then the tribe leader, I guess in this case would be me, would pick a paper out of a box and see what the request is. So maybe I'll stick to chat. But then now I'm like, damn, like my friends wouldn't want to join these then. But I think it goes to then, okay, this is the perfect filtering mechanism for the types of people I'd want in my tribe. The types of people that would want to spend a Sunday morning just listening to my thoughts, the type of people that don't mind writing in the chat with a bunch of questions that they want to get my thoughts on. Been using Soberlin moisturizing cream and stacking with Vaseline, and it seems to keep my skin moisturized for like a long time. I did it last night. It's 8 hours and my skin's still quite moist. So I'm gonna keep up that routine. Mm. Another note I had, yeah. 37 minutes in, and this really emptied the tank. I think a lot of these thoughts are coming on the fly. I had some of these thoughts in the morning as I was changing, coming to this, but I'm gonna start like adding things to the list throughout the week. So there's a good chance that this list is going to be very, very long, and I'm gonna start just knocking through them one by one. And there isn't going to be me trying to extend one topic for longer periods of time. And I think that might help me with my retention problem. Like right now, I'm sort of going from one topic to the next topic to the next topic, and it feels like this very long sort of tangent. But if I had 20, 30 different things, I just knock through them one by one by one by one by one. Oh, man, last night I had a bad dream. It was a weird dream. Felt like I was in this different universe where you can sort of transport yourself to different places, and they're like places of transit. Like I was just this weird, like it felt like I was in a like a Dune, like a sci-fi movie, but it was just like it was like a Rick and Morty different universe type thing where like all of a sudden I could be in like this in Sydney, but then as I'm going and I parked my car, since my car was just blocking the road. It was like repoed, and it's repoed in this transit land that looks like this giant desert with this lake. It feels like I'm in like the Nile River in Egypt type vibe. And then I'm having to go and get my car back from being repoed, and it's this whole journey to do that. Ugh. I don't know if I should take a nap after this or not. But that weird dream was just weird. I wrote it down. It ended up being this long, long thing because I sort of remember my dream. So I try to write it down and I try to sort of get the lessons from it. I'm not going to show it to you guys then. Um, so I do want to put that into my notes. I have this thing called Andy Pensive. Pensive is something from Harry Potter where Dumbledore and people can put all their memories into this bowl. Or they put in vials that you can pour into the bowl to relive those memories that you copied. Um, so I've been having an anti-pensive, and I put all my thoughts and memories on it, and all the things I've learned. So if I ever need to remember something, I can go back, Control F, and find the fact I'm looking for. Um, but I also have all my dreams on it, so I might remove that and put it into a separate, like Andy's dreams document. That makes more sense. I've been enjoying like segregating things. Like my main YouTube channel had everything from the podcast to the e-com content to the book reviews to the blogs. And I've recently separated the book reviews into a new book review channel. I've recently separated me chit-chatting and me sort of going on rants into this separate thing for lessons. You know what's crazy? This has been a good outlet. Like I remember last night so wanting to chat with a friend and just like recap and and exhaust all the different ideas and thoughts that have been building up. But like this has done that for me. Like now I have no energy or urge to do that because this has been the outlet. I just went ahead and just rambled and said a bunch of things that came to my mind, and um this works. So he's not gonna have to bear the burden and hear me sort of chit chat about. He came up with that word chit chat. That's a funny word. Hey, want to chit chat? So yeah, I'm really grateful for this outlet. Last note I had was listening to gut. I've been listening to my gut feeling a lot more whenever I'm not too sure on whenever I'm not too sure. I sort of just take a pause and I listen to myself. Like, let's try it now. Let's do it together. Like, should I take a nap after this? Let's listen. My heart, gut says no. You should try to probably like make your bed, clean your CPAP machine, put on your Ugg boots, and like try to slowly roll into the day. Keep the timer. You started the day at 8 a.m. See if you can just work slowly and really focus on moving at the pace that the flame in your heart is burning, and try to do what Ken and Alan Watkins taught you about sort of focusing on that energy point and letting it bubble, letting it fill your cup. Just slowly get into work. You're gonna have difficult tasks, but just slowly get into it. Yeah. So I've been doing that, a lot of that, like listening. Like I don't know, like as I was talking out loud, like where's that coming from? Is that my heart? Is it my shadow self? Is it the God from within? Like I feel like everyone knows what the right move is. Everyone knows what they should do, but a different side of you, your habitual animalistic side tells you, hey, go eat that thing dessert you have in the fridge. Um, go. Mitch's otter disappeared. I don't know. Maybe he's left, or maybe that was Mitch. um, go. Um, have that warm shower. Don't like that. That's a very um animalistic thing. Yeah, and I'm just thinking, damn, well, I don't know. It says Mitch's Otter, and Otter is usually the app that just transcribes these. It listens in, it records, and it just cut out. I was like, oh wow, like was that Mitch the whole time? But back to topic. Yeah, like what is that thing, and what's the thing it's fighting? The me knowing what's right to do versus me knowing what I want to do, like the cravings. Yeah. One thing I learned is from this guy named Brian Johnson how you should sit straight and you should imagine the string that's at the top of your head that's pulling you up. And as I'm doing that, all of a sudden I could feel myself like this is, I guess, straight. I guess I've never looked like this on camera. I rarely do. But yeah, this does feel like if I use a string and I'm imagining it from the top of my head pulling, like this is the posture. So it feels unnatural. But I guess I can sit into it. Yeah, that was the last topic. So I think I'm gonna take my advice, not force this to hit the 60-minute mark. But I'm very happy with this. Like I learned so much, like insane. Like I learned that, hey, like I should talk at my own pace, go at my own pace, do some push-ups if I wanted to do some push-ups, be selfish with these, use this as an outlet for myself, but also use it as a outlet to attract the type of people I want into my community. This is going to be called finding friends, by the way, but I like I want it to be more evergreen. Like eventually I'm going to find my tribe, and Well, I guess you can always find friends. I don't know. But I really like this, the fact that I can have everyone on the calendar invite, everyone can see it in the calendar, they can show up as needed. So grateful. I learned, like, I feel so, like, this was, like, I feel like I grow a lot when I chat with friends, but I also grew a lot just from this conversation. I'm getting better at communication. Yeah. And it's very efficient. Sort of like reading manga versus anime. If I'm just talking to myself, I'm just knocking through all the things I'm going through and dealing with. And most of the time, when I'm playing ping pong conversation, the more that I get back based on the things I'm sharing, maybe it only adds like an extra 10% value. So would you prefer being able to talk about 5 topics, but have 5 topics where your thoughts are getting bounced back and you're getting other opinions over 1 hour? Or well, I guess 5 topics maybe over, say, 40 minutes? Or would you have preferred to go over 12 topics on your own? I think you probably get a higher ROI going through 12 different topics. Yeah. Thank you guys. Thanks so much for listening in. I'm gonna stop this for this Sunday. I'm gonna listen to my gut feeling and try continue the momentum and try to get the day started, even though that like after this I'm gonna have a tendency to be like, let's rest. And also not forcing this to keep going. Like I can see myself just keep going. I could keep going. Every time I'm like, I feel like I've emptied the like the thing is like here I go again. I feel like I'm a cup in these conversations. It's like a water tap filling the cup. And every time I empty it, I put it back in, it slowly starts to fill up. I empty it, put it back in. It's so I can keep doing that to a point where the tap either gets tired or my output of thoughts is much quicker than the rate that the tap can fill the cup. Let's stop the conversation here because now I'm just sort of like pouring residue from the cup and that can go on forever. Let's take a breather together. This is me doing it, by the way, doing what I'm talking about. This is so much more fulfilling than the 60-second TikTok thoughts I used to do. This feels fulfilling. This feels wholesome. This feels valued. It feels like this feels like bread. Whereas TikTok felt like me just creating little candies. I have these weird metaphors. I'm gonna keep them up because I think that's a part of me being me. And yeah, thank you. I appreciate whoever's listening to this. I want to send you love. It's probably in the future. If you're listening to this in the future and this is an old episode that you're coming back to, one, I appreciate you giving me your energy. Two, I want to thank you for your time. And three, I want to let you know that you are loved and the universe has your back. Peace.